Hello, Seiiti Arata. In today's episode, I'm gonna give you a walkthrough to help you stop suffering in an elegant and simple process that will take less than 5 minutes. And it is relevant to any kind of suffering, job loss, health problems, the end of a relationship, or a loved one's death, well, to any life situation. First, let's understand where the suffering comes from. Suffering emerges when there is a disconnection between expectation and reality. When some things fly out of control, when they change or they don't materialize, then we suffer. There was this expectation, and more than that, there was this belief that the right thing would have been reality matching our expectations. And when that doesn't happen, suffering tells us that everything went wrong. And feeding our belief that reality is always going to correspond to our expectations is a guaranteed formula for suffering. Because the truth is that life is not totally under our control. The world doesn't spin around us. The people or the things that bring us happiness are not permanent. They are not immutable. We mature when we adjust our expectations to reality. And children cry a lot because they are immature. They still don't know how to cope with situations differently from their expectations. They struggle to accept that they are no longer the center of all attention as they used to be when they were little babies. Teenagers later, they suffer when they get dumped. They believe that their love was forever. It was not. And adults fall into despair when they are out of that job that seemed stable, and it was not. Or when they find themselves carrying a chronic disease, or the loss of a loved one who ends up passing away. In all these situations, there is a disconnection between the expectation and the reality. And the maturing process helps us to understand and adjust how to reconcile expectation and reality. In the adult life, we already know that when we are given a rose, that flower will have its end. And thus, we don't suffer when its petals start to wither. We are mature, we know that that's the flower's nature. One day it's a rosebud, then it blossoms, and lastly, it withers. And we don't have the false expectation of watching it live forever. To stop suffering, we need clarity. The withering flowers example, we don't suffer, we have clarity, and that clarity is helping us. When we gain the consciousness that life is full of change and unpredictable events, the more we can appreciate the present moment. And we understand that we can make conscious choices now. And now is the moment when we can be kind enough to those who we love. And we can tell how much we love them. Being present and leave the smartphone aside and all the other distractions. That clarity is precisely what dispels the illusion of considering good things to be permanent, always arriving, and the bad things will never come, the problems will never knock on our door. We accept any scenario without suffering. Do not confuse acceptance with resignation. And when we talk about acceptance, that is not resignation, that is not submission. What is acceptance? Acceptance is not offering resistance to what already is. Imagine I have an important appointment, but I get a strong cold, a fever that makes me stay in bed. And that cold brings me pain. And if I offer resistance to it, I get infuriated, wrathful, thinking about how important things are missing, what an important day it could be, and now I am here, I just can't do things. I'm creating a second layer of pain. Do you understand that? That is the suffering. This is the disconnection between expectation and reality. How to stop suffering? To stop suffering, we have to come to terms that sooner or later, all of us will have to face problems. We will have our expectations frustrated. Most people cannot accept these situations. They're taken by strong emotion of denial. They think, no, this can't be happening to me. Denial is a negative state of low intensity. It's an escape, a defense. And what is the outcome? Nothing changes. The reality remains the same. And when we understand finally that denial is not working in order to change reality, we might move on to anger. Anger is also a negative state, but of high intensity. It's an attack. We curse, we yell, we rage ourselves. And what is the outcome? Nothing changes. The reality remains the same. And when we get that anger is not working in order to change reality, well, maybe we might try something different. We move to hope. And then we smile. Now we are hoping for luck to change. And what is the outcome? Nothing changes. The reality remains the same. And when we get that hope is not working in order to change reality, our ground shatters. We might fall into depression. We might get disappointed. We end up being sad. And life might lose its meaning. And we fight reality, and that brings enormous sadness because we had never thought about that scenario becoming real before. And what would be the outcome of that? Nothing changes. The reality remains the same. And that's where suffering ends. We accept. We stop offering resistance against reality. So, to stop suffering immediately, just be aware of this process. You have been through this already. I have been through it. And we both know that if we had chosen acceptance right at the process's very beginning, we could have avoided a lot of suffering. To stop suffering, let's accept what already is and what cannot be changed. And that acceptance, I repeat, is not to be confused with resignation, with submission, with conformism, with lowering your head when you face the kind of obstacles that can and must be overcome. And this is where self-knowledge and wisdom have a role, in order we can know how to distinguish what can be changed, what cannot, and understand what's in the past and understand what can be built in the future. That clarity is what allows us to resume the present moment with clarity and do what can be done. Don't lose your time in the past. That has already happened. Don't keep reliving moments of frustration, of pain. It has already happened. Ask yourself, what can you do now? What can you do now? And then do what can be done. Focus on the present moment. And if you need help, visit now the link Arata SE Focus course, then you can have the first steps done.